Hi everyone, welcome to this week's weekly news update here from Mayfield Primary School. I hope everyone is well and keeping safe. An important news item to start with first of all. You'll read today on the weekly news and via a separate letter as well, the outcome to the uniform consultation process. We had to make it a fairly short, sharp process to make sure everybody's got the information they need for September, but in doing so we've been able to talk to governors, we spoke at the Mayfield Together meeting, we've been able to ask the children, and of course we've consulted with yourselves, the families. There are always different thoughts, different questions, and thank you for those. There's lots of people who've taken the positive opportunity to talk to us in the playground, offer thoughts, ask questions. Thank you for that, and there'll always be people who think, well, I'd like to do X, and some would like to do Y, but I have to say there is a huge, overwhelming majority of people that will be in favour of a 2-day tracksuit and a 3-day formal uniform, a traditional uniform. So we're going to go with that plan, and that plan will come in from September 2021, this September. So we are writing out separate with details around accessibility, cost, how we as a school are going to help each family with that, and detailing everything down to what you can wear, what you can't wear, where you can get things from, all of that. I'm not going to list it here because this sort of film is not ideal for a list, but you need to have a careful look at what we're sending out, and that will give you that information. One thing we will be doing is phasing out the old badge. The old badge will not be part of any new uniform, and our new badge, if you wish to wear the badge on some of the items, will be the new badge. The only thing that has to have the badge on, I shall say at this stage, is the tracksuit. Other than that, you could go badgeless if you want, and that would save you even more money. But we'll talk about all that in the letter, and you'll see the full plans and the full details from there. But we have thought about accessibility, how you can get them, and we have thought very carefully about affordability, and we'll put that on that letter. And that includes a special gift to every child within school, from school, to help with this initial change. And we think that'll be really useful and helpful to each and every one of you. So we hope you are on board with us with it. We believe you are. Have a good look at the list, and we think you'll like what we've come up with and feel that it's a reasonable, fair and measured way forward. Okay, so that's point number one. We'll take a look at the important letter coming out today. Second thing, people getting to the point that you're saying, right, okay, COVID is still very much with us. It's increasing again, which I think we all know is pretty natural now, that when things open up, things are going to increase. I think we've all begun to accept that. But obviously the government has decided that the restrictions that were there up to the 21st of June are there now effectively to the end of the school year. And Lancashire County Council have also added further guidance from their point of view in light of that. So we've been spending the last few days planning the end of year. And here's some updates to give you some clarification. So people have asked about, will there be sports days? Well, we haven't publicised any sports day dates for this specific reason, because we felt it would be very unlikely we could get the situation and the capacity even outdoors that we wanted. So we had some thoughts in the background if we were able to own absolutely everything and get the go-ahead, but that's not going to be the case. You see, there are restrictions not only indoors, which are basically what they've been for a long time, which is try not to gather people, if you can really, in a small indoor space in large numbers. And then outdoors, we've still got similar restrictions. The numbers are bigger, but they're not big enough to get an audience for a sports day. And we'd have to do sports days in such small bubbles that there wouldn't be a sports day at all. We'd be going out with a third of a class, and parents would be staggered everywhere. It doesn't work, and we haven't got time to do that. Logistically, it wouldn't work. And we do feel sports day needs to have parents as an audience. That's an integral part of sports day. Otherwise, it's really a little more than a PE lesson, to be honest with you. So we've chosen not to go ahead with sports days. As I said, we didn't publicise them, so we didn't get people's hopes up, but we just can't do them in the way that we want. We did think, well, shall we go ahead without an audience? But as I said before, it feels a little more than a PE lesson, really. The children like you there. And even if I tried that, I think people would gather off site at the other side of the fence in groups to cheer on their children. And again, that would be a gathering of sort that we'd encouraged. So we're going to leave that for this year, and we'll be planning them back in for summer 2022. And we've got a nice new format in mind that we think you'll like to really step things forward in more Olympic style. So watch out for those, and fingers crossed we'll be able to deliver on all that next year. Similar to that, the tabletop sale that we were having as a fundraising event for Mayfield Together has been postponed because, again, that's a large gathering outdoors or a large uncontrolled gathering indoors. We can't do that. We were hoping we were going to get restrictions raised. That's why we put it after the 21st of June. But that's had to just be postponed until we get further guidance. Fingers crossed that we will get that necessary guidance. Swimming. People ask about swimming. Well, when we came back after lockdown 2, there was a possibility of beginning some swimming sessions. And I speak a lot with the head teachers in the area, and we had a meeting and we looked, and a good number of us felt that we didn't have that necessary risk assessment reassurance to recommence swimming in our view. Some did, some didn't. We chose not to do that. So we've recently had a meeting to prepare for September, and September 21-22, fingers being crossed, will be able to open as normal. Now, our normal swimming is usually spring term and possibly some further sessions in summer term. Now, that's what we're signed up for as normal. So there's never normal swimming in autumn. We normally have a spring and a summer slot. That's what we've got. But I'm very conscious as head that children are out of sync with it, that some have missed swimming or their full entitlement. So what I'm going to do from here on is say year 6 will go swimming. And then by doing that, I'm not going to miss any children out of their swimming entitlement. I'm going to go to the ones that haven't fully had that, pick them up as year 6, and then every year in year 6, those children will have that swimming entitlement from there. So everyone that has that entitlement, and we want to get to the national swimming standard for primary schools, will have that opportunity to do so. And that will recommence as planned in spring term, fingers crossed. So that's how that one sits. One of the exceptions to not bringing people in at this stage is our theatre situation. We are, as a live venue in there, able to plan out, and we have had for some time, a socially distanced, low capacity situation in there. So, for our Year 6 summer show, we're going to go ahead with that, and we've begun rehearsals for that with the children, and we can have a small socially distanced capacity for that. So that's great that we can do that for one event. But that's because we're stationary, we're in place, we can insist upon certain conditions, we've got bookings for that, we've got names. That allows us to do that as a one-off. And we can do a number of performances, so it means we can spread the audience out. And that's the one situation where we can do something really. So we're going to go ahead with that and see how that goes, and we're able to do so successfully. But even things such as Leavers Assembly, it's going to be a one-off, and we can't get that number together, so that's going to have to be a film of some nature that comes through. I know my colleagues in all the other schools locally are doing exactly the same with that. So that's kind of how we stand. It's rather a similar picture. We can't really get families in otherwise at the moment, but we hope for our Meet the Teacher work in September that we'll be able to have you walking around freely, and although observing sensible social distances, have a little bit more fluidity with that. But we need to wait for the green light, not only from the government, but then the advice from LCC around what they feel is safe and appropriate as well. So those are some updates, some further questions answered. I'll be talking to you towards the end of the year about September protocols and arrangements. If I'm honest, I'm hopeful of keeping it consistent with what we've got now, because I think you're in a routine, we're in a routine, it works, I think, particularly well. I've not had feedback telling me that it's a disaster, it doesn't work, it has to change. I think people are fairly settled in the way that works, and I'm likely to suggest keeping it, excuse me, keeping it similar, if not the same. But I will confirm that in due course as I see where the political climate's going with things. And if things should change during the school holidays, we will find a way of letting you know about that, so you would know prior to September. But we'll address that as we get towards the summer holidays. So have a look at the separate correspondence around uniform, and I hope that the updated guidance on where we stand in the remaining 3 weeks is also helpful. As soon as we know and we have things confirmed, we tell you, and be very careful to only publicise things that we believe can happen in a set way. So that's pretty much it, and that's kind of where we are with things. Fingers crossed that we're getting close to be able to getting people back in, but I think we're all a bit concerned, aren't we, as to whether this is fully going to open now, or whether we're going to have restrictions of this nature here for some time. So there we are. So take care, and we will speak more next week and share more thoughts from school as we continue to move forward together. Have a nice weekend, stay safe, see you soon.